And we're off with the 2018 NCAA Division II Cross Country Championships. This is the men's 10,000 meter. A hectic start as always, but with narrow boxes and kind of a bottleneck here, things are going to be especially crazy, and it looks like they're going to call them back. My goodness. I mean, things are so bunched, and you saw some athletes kind of shout and scream at that. It looks like somebody must have fallen. We had this at the Division III Championships as well, so kind of a bummer that had to happen because, you know, even though it was only about 100 meters of starting, athletes were already starting to fly out of the gates, and you saw some people that got good starts frustrated that they're going to have to get this thing going once again. So they will get started once more after we all get back lined up. So give it a couple more minutes and we'll get this underway. So not exactly sure what went down. Anytime we have a restart, you have to assume there was a fall. It's a very, very tight starting area there. All the blocks, all the lanes there for these teams are very narrow, and it kind of bottlenecks at the start. And you had the feeling that something like this could happen, and sure enough, we will get this restarted. All likelihood a fall went down. It's super tight here, so teams got to be extra careful. And of course, everyone, you're not really thinking about staying on your feet. You're thinking about getting off to a good start, and when those things come together, that's when you can have falls. So the teams will get back into their blocks, and we'll try to get this started momentarily. So it looks like they're going to have a lead biker kind of take this one off, which is an interesting thing here. We're going to let the athletes shake it out one more time. And hopefully hopefully the second time is a charm here, because you don't want to do this more than once. You don't want to do it ever, but with such a tight starting line and narrow lanes to run, this could be an issue. So we'll see how they navigate it in try number 2 coming up in a minute here. So if you're just joining us, the men's 10,000 meter NCAA Division II Cross Country Championship was slated to go off a couple minutes ago, and it did do that, but the starters pulled them back to the line. It looks like we had possibly a fall just meters into the race. So we'll try this again. It's the same thing that went down in the men's D3 race. So this does happen, especially when so much adrenaline is flowing and so much tough competition. Everybody wants to get out to a good start here to get their championship. The race they've been gearing for all season. They want to get it off to a good start. But try to get this fixed for this second attempt at the men's 10K. Starting well will be key here on this tricky course. So teams that get out well are going to be at an advantage. All right, so the starter's gun is up again. And we're off. For the second time, the 2018 NCAA Division II Men's Cross Country Championship, the 10,000 meter race is off and running. And it looks like we've gotten off to a good start this time. So this time should be for real as we get this super competitive 6.2 mile race underway here at Schenley Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Oh, and we have another fall. Oh my gosh, people are falling over. It looks like Grant Colligan fell, one of our individual favorites, and we got people trying to make this bottleneck. Oh my goodness, this is absolute havoc Grant Colligan, one of the favorites from Colorado School of Mines, took a tumble there. He got back up on his feet, but you saw the bottleneck there. My goodness, how do they expect to fit all these athletes through that? So chaos has been the story through the first minute of the men's 10,000 meters as they work their way through this opening 800 meters or so. We'll have to see how things shake out. Whew. Tight twists and turns here as we have a Mount Olive athlete out to an early lead. We see the pair from Adams State up there as well. That's Elias Gedeon and Sydney Gidabude. Looks like Western Colorado's Ross Hush is up there as well. I see Mason Phillips from Sioux Falls, who was 15th a year ago. Try to get an idea of who we have running here for Mount Olive. But he's off to a nice lead. We're just about 2 minutes into this race. After a hectic and crazy start. And you see our Mount Olive athlete out to a very early quick start. Not one of the favorites, so this is somewhat unexpected. But he's rolling through the beginning. We have our Adams State guys up there. I see a couple. And it'll be interesting to see how Grant Colligan kind of works his way up through this one. Should be passing the 800-meter mark here, and we'll have an opening split for you. Again, this is a hilly and muddy course, and it's very, very tight. And at the beginning there, it bottlenecked so severely that athletes had to duck and squeeze through the fence. But we're out and rolling now. Our leader from Mount Olive continuing to set the pace. Looks like this chase pack going to start to grab him. So again, folks, the NCAA has forbidden any carts from being on this course, so that's why we're not seeing any cart cam action. So muddy, so hilly that couldn't do that. But we do start to see some of the favorites working their way up. Zach Panning from Grand Valley State, the top returner from a year ago. He is up there in the mix. And as is Gidabude and Gedeon from Adams State. Kind of tough to see how the team race is playing out thus far, but we're still early, not even a mile through this race. So that was Jacob Gonzalez, who was the early leader, but he's fallen back now. Now we get a look at our who's up front. We have a pair from Western Colorado. That's Ross Hush and Charlie Sweeney. We also have Karui and Kimboy of Alaska Anchorage. You see Cale Adams starting to position himself up front. He was third a year ago. For Adams State, that's a big thing to have Cale Adams up there already this early going, because he has not had a particularly strong season for him, but for him to be up in the mix already in the top 15, top 20, that is a great sign for the two-time defending national champions. But the race starting to kind of separate a little bit here. The favorites rising to the front as they get settled in and kind of start to navigate this course and familiarize themselves with this terrain. It was ugly going, tough going at the beginning there as we had our fall. We had our initial fall before the race even started. They had to bring it back. And then we had a fall about 400 meters into this one that took down Grant Colligan of Colorado School of Mines. Just an absolute mess out there. But now things starting to get figured out. And at the very early 700-meter split, Western Colorado had the team lead. It's borderline negligible this early into the race, as you really can't, nobody's really positioned themselves where they're going to be at the finish line, only 700 meters in. But still, Western Colorado has the early lead. And in the individual side, the man we expected to be up there, Zach Panning, the senior from Grand Valley State, is in the lead. He's been top 5 at this meet every time throughout his career to this point, 3 times in a row. He was 5th as a freshman, 5th as a sophomore, and 2nd last year as a junior, which was particularly impressive in 2017 because Panning had been kind of injured throughout last fall. Still got a runner-up finish, but he's been perfectly healthy this season, and that's why we think he's going to come away with the title. But we'll see how this plays out. He's gotten himself in good early position thus far, however. So kind of wrapping around, still working through this opening 2K. At 1.7K, our second split, Zach Panning was in the lead, and it still was Western Colorado with a team lead. So just past a mile, Western Colorado leading by over 100 points, 54 to 159, with Colorado Mines in third, Adams State in second. So it is the 3 RMAC squads in control there. You see where they're at on the course on that far left side. But Western Colorado has the team lead with 4 in the top 20 and 5 in the top 25. So fantastic race early on from the Mountaineers. Adams State in second with 159 and Colorado Mines in third, 163. Mount Olive there in fourth. Certainly a lot going to change as we get going, but a great start from Western Colorado. So it's Panning from Grand Valley State in the lead. Then we have Marcelo Laguera up there from CSU-Pueblo. The trio from Western Colorado, that's Hush, Sweeney, and Taylor Stack. They are running well up front early on. Western Colorado, they were second at the RMAC championships. That's a bit of an asterisk there because Colorado School of Mines didn't run. And then they were third at the super competitive South Central Regional. So Western Colorado, certainly a team that we think can be on the podium, but it would be a big, big shock if they can find a way to win a national title. A lot of race left to go here, but already this course is playing into the hands of some of these mountain teams that really are used to the hills. There you see, looks like 2 from Adams State. There's 3 from Adams State, so they're kind of going blow for blow, at least in the top 3 for Western Colorado. It does look like Western Colorado has 4 in the top 20 right now, and that is spectacular. As we are heading towards 3K, it's Panning. It looks like Sweeney from Western Colorado, maybe Hagen from Colorado School of Mines up there as well. No sight yet of Grant Colligan. He took a fall about 400 meters into the race, and not sure where he is at this moment. Colligan at about just past a mile was in 33rd, so he's got a lot of places to move up if he wants to contend for this title. As we're seeing these guys as they approach 3K. My goodness, Western Colorado just short of 3K at 2.8K. That's where our split mat was. 32 points to Colorado Mines, 90. Colorado Mines and Adams State right now tied at 90 in second place, but it's all Western Colorado about a third of this way through the race. Well, just under a third of the way through the race. As Western Colorado has 4 in the top 10 right now. Are you kidding me? That's totally unexpected from Western Colorado, a team we thought maybe just had a shot to get on the podium. But now, such a good start early on. Western Colorado's got to be thinking about a national title here. So great start for the Mountaineers. Colorado Mines and Adams State getting themselves in position. The top 5, although it's scrambled as you see it there, it's Western Colorado, Colorado Mines, Adams State, Grand Valley State, and Chico State. So kind of the 5 teams we expected to be up there. They're just a little scrambled at this moment. Your top 5 individuals: Zach Panning, Charlie Sweeney, Marcelo Laguera, Christian Noble, and Taylor Stack with Ross Hush right behind. Big story thus far. Western Colorado, 3 in the top 6. Wow, what a start for those Mountaineers from Gunnison. who you know have to be loving this hilly and mountainous, and I wouldn't say mountainous, but hilly and very muddy course. It's got to suit them perfectly for the hills and the terrain that they face there in Gunnison at about 8,000 feet. So very impressive early going for them. As we get back onto the front, our lead biker having to work real hard to stay up there. Left side of your screen there, that's the first sight of super sophomore for Grand Valley, Enel Michael. He was 6th a year ago. He's kind of, I don't know, running the outside there, maybe where it's less muddy, way on the left side. Everybody else, or he's way on the right side, everybody else on this left side. But up front, it's Zach Panning. Looks like that's Christian Noble there in second. Laguera of CSU-Pueblo. First sight of Gideon Kimutai of Missouri Southern. He was the Central Region champion. He's in that bright orange of Missouri Southern. So he's up in the mix. As we'll wrap around our second loop of this 2K course. Panning's in control, but he's got a lot of friends with him. It's going to be real interesting to see what we split in our next one at 3.8K, which should be coming up shortly. As so far, it's been all Western Colorado. Will that change at this next split? There you look at it, some of our splits through the top 50 or so. Panning's still up there, as we expect him to be. Kind of went with the beard look last year. He's clean shaven this year. All business in 2018. His final cross-country race as a Laker. Zach Panning trying to take it to this field on this brutal course. So again, this course, 5 laps of this 2K track at Schenley Park. And it's going to be, this team split will be huge here as we check it next. Panning in control at 12:14 at 3.8K. He's got a number of guys behind him. Marcelo Laguera, or I should say right beside him. Marcelo Laguera still there from CSU-Pueblo. Luke Greer, a guy we haven't mentioned yet, from Carson Newman, a senior. And now, folks, it looks like as we get our next update on the split, Colorado Mines, Grand Valley State, Adams State starting to creep their way up on Western Colorado. Now, Western still has their top 5 all in the top 20, but Colorado Mines now just 30 points behind, so starting to creep up. Now they're 31 points behind, so we're still continuing to populate here, but it looks like Colorado Mines and Grand Valley State starting to work their way up. Crucially, though, and somewhat unexpected here, Adams State in 4th at the 3.8-mile split. So about 40% through this race, Adams State currently sits in 4th. So we'll catch back up to the front there. Still have Panning, Laguera, and Greer kind of as your top 3, but there's, you know, a series of 10 guys there all in the mix. Michael kind of trying to bridge that gap. But again, we'll name them off there. Panning in the lead, that's Leaky Kipkazgai of American International in 2nd. Taylor Stack in 3rd from Western Colorado. Laguera there in 4th from CSU Pueblo. Ross Hush of Western Colorado. Elias Gideon Kimutai. Those are kind of the main contenders. Charlie Sweeney up there still giving Western Colorado 3 in the top 10 as we'll start to approach halfway shortly. So you see some of the trailing athletes. There's a runner from Adams State. So Adams State currently in 4th right now. How will things shake up once we reach halfway? It's going to be crucial for them to make up some ground in the latter stages of this race, and probably need to get to it sooner rather than later, as Mines and Western Colorado threatening to kind of run away with this. Again, Western, they've got what looks like still 3 in the top 10, 3 in about the top, well, let's see here, 1, 2, so still 2 in about this top 5 group here. So I'm not sure where where, tough to tell from my angle here. Western Colorado, though, still running very well. You see Mason Phillips of Sioux Falls trying to kind of bridge the gap between himself and that top group. He was a guy who was 15th last year, so he's trying to put himself in the mix on this brutal course. Mason Phillips, the GRIAC winner at the D2 level. He loves hilly courses and he loves the mud, so this should suit him just perfectly. See kind of some of our trailing athletes working their way through the twists and turns and the hills and the mud of Schenley Park. So Panning's still up there. So it looks like it is Ross Hush that's kind of fallen off for Western Colorado. He was up there with his teammates. I just don't see him yet. So it's still Sweeney and Taylor Stack up there, but not seeing Ross Hush. So Western Colorado may be starting to just lose a little bit of the grip they had on the lead. Panning continues to push it with Laguera and Kip Kosgei right there as well. Still no sign of Grant Colligan. He's moved up to 23rd, but a lot of room to make up after falling back early in this race. So at the 4.8K split, obviously we've passed 5K at this point. Zach Panning was in control, 15:28 in the lead, with Laguera behind him and Stack in third, Sweeney, both of Western Colorado, in third and fourth. Western Colorado had a 79-point score at that juncture. Grand Valley State 96, Colorado Mines 102, and Adams State 136. So we're past halfway at this point. Western Colorado still in the lead as they have been throughout this entire race, but the grip may be starting to slip on their control of the lead. So we'll see how that plays out as we go along. Next split, of course, will be crucial to figuring out who's going to win this title. As Western Colorado, there you see it, they've been losing a little bit of their grip each and every step. And let's see if they can hold on as this race starts to ratchet up. You see Wadamichael continuing to run on that right side for Grand Valley as his teammate and the favorite here, Panning, starts to press on the gas a little bit more here. Only Laguera going with him at this moment. So it's starting to string out a bit. There's Getabude. Kind of thought he would be up front, but maybe with this course not really suiting his track speed, it's a little bit tougher going for him. And that could be huge for Adams State, you know, in a negative way. Not good for them. That doesn't look like they're going to have Getabude in the top 5 today. There's Cale Adams. He was third a year ago. Hasn't quite been up to that level this year, but he's starting to move up. And it looks like 2 more for Western Colorado, so that's all 5 for them at this point. So Grand Valley State currently in second at our latest split, just 17 points behind Western Colorado. But up front in the individual battle, looks like a break has been made, and these are going to be the 2 guys fighting it out from here onto the finish line. 2 seniors, Zach Panning, who's a 5K individual champ on the track last spring, second a year ago, and then Marcelo Laguera from CSU-Pueblo. Laguera, I believe he was 23rd a year ago, so this is a big step up for him, battling for a national title, and it would be huge for CSU-Pueblo, who currently sitting in 15th, so they got a lot of work to do. You see a lot of the athletes in the field just working their way through it. It's a grinders type of a day here in Pittsburgh. You see where they are on that far left side of the course. 20 minutes in now. And we'll have a team update shortly. It does look like Grand Valley State has started to move up and has started to gain ground here, but we'll wait until it's fully populated before we give you an update. Still Panning and Laguera with about a 4-second edge now, with Kimutai, the freshman from Missouri Southern, now moved into the 3rd slot. Ooh, some low scores going down here. We're going to wait to see how it shakes out, but Right now, it looks like Grand Valley State and Western Colorado knotted up in first, both with about 65 points. We're going to still continue to let these populate, but things are going to be super close here between the three squads, Grand Valley State, Western Colorado, and Colorado Mines. And the big thing that's kind of happened so far is Adams State not having the race they would have wanted so far. They're in fourth with 108 points, but currently Grand Valley State 64 points, or excuse me, 72 points. Again, we're still populating here. 72 points for Grand Valley State, Western Colorado 77, Colorado Mines 80, and they're the only teams there under 100 points at the moment. So a lot of racing still to do here, folks, but we're within about the final 10 minutes of the men's Division II cross country championships. There you see Cale Adams. Kind of looks like he's fallen back there for Adams State. Now Gedeon's starting to move up, so that's good for the Grizzlies. And the trio there of Kimutai, Gedeon, and Taylor Stack trying to bridge the gap between themselves and Panning and Laguera, your top two right now who are pushing the pace. True blood cross-country guys leading this one. Panning and Laguera. These guys have been perpetual All-Americans. Panning's had more success. He's finished in the top 5 all 3 races in his career at the national championship. But Laguera, he's been solid as well. He's had a very good senior season for CSU-Pueblo. Second at the RMAC championships to get a Bude. And I believe he was second at the South Central Regional as well. So a big race coming for him as we get into the final 3 kilometers at the 2018 NCAA Division II Cross Country Championships. So our latest team update has Grand Valley State with 97 points, Western Colorado 105, and Colorado Mines 108. That is how close things are. Adams State in 4th, 162. And you see things starting to string out a little bit on that downhill again. Panning and Laguera with about a 20-meter lead over Kimutai, Stack, and Gedeon. Let's see if Panning kind of puts in a charge here to try to rid himself of Laguera. As far as speed would be concerned, I would think Panning has the advantage, but you never know. This course kind of takes track speed and throws it out the window. So we'll be approaching 8K shortly. It's about a 3-second lead for Panning and Laguera to the chase pack. And shortly we'll have more team score updates. We'll let them populate a bit as they kind of continue to roll here. As you're watching these trailing athletes work their way through the winding turns of Schenley Park. So at the last split, Grand Valley State was in the lead. Again, they're going for their first NCAA men's title. Can they get it done here over these last 3 kilometers? So it looks like Grand Valley State has a 10-point lead with less than 3K to go. Grand Valley State, no, it's now we've changed. It's populating again. My mistake there. Grand Valley State 88 to Colorado School of Mines 101. So GVSU getting a little cushion now. There's Getabude. There's Mason Phillips there, well behind. Those two not in the individual title contention anymore, but just trying to hang on for maybe a top 15 finish. There are the two from Mines, Colligan and I believe that's Logan Ramlett. So 2 big low sticks for those two, for that squad. There's another Grand Valley State. There's 2 more from Grand Valley State. So they're continuing to run well, and as we're continuing to get more and more results in, it's a 14-point advantage at this moment for Grand Valley State. Just shows you how slow this course is running today. At 7.8K, Zach Panning passed it at 25:45. That would be slow by an 8K standard, but on this course, that's the way it's running today. Panning and Laguera have a 12-second advantage over the chase pack there of Taylor Stack and Gideon Kimutai. So it looks like it's going to come down to those 2 guys in the final 2 kilometers. Getting some more look at athletes well behind, and we'll try to catch up to our leaders momentarily. Will it be Grand Valley State's and Zach Panning's day in 2018? It's going well for him so far and going well for his teammates. That's Panning. What a story this would be, coming away with a national title in his senior year, not only individually, but as a team as well. And in a moment, we will try to catch up to those 2 leaders as they navigate this final lap. And there they are, Panning and Laguera. It's coming down to those 2 gentlemen for the individual national title in Division II men's cross country. Who's it going to be? The advantage has to be in the pocket of Zach Panning, but Laguera's been tough and has been behind him all race here. So who will it be in this final mile or so that we have to go? Panning has won 4 races this season. The only race he didn't win was at the Midwest Regional, where he was kind of taking it easy and just qualifying to nationals. So he's essentially undefeated, except for that one kind of race he just kind of jogged to get on to nationals. So Panning's been mostly untouchable this year. Will he stay that way through the final mile of his final college cross-country race? There they are. Should be just about a mile to run here. And those team scores not quite there. We'll wait for them to populate as they continue to roll in. Again, at the last update, Grand Valley State had about a 13 to 15 point advantage. Right now I'm showing it about 8K. They have a 16-point advantage over Western Colorado and a 19-point advantage over Colorado School of Mines. So it does look good, but still quite a bit of race left to go. A lot can change when the kickers start to roll here. But again, Grand Valley State on the men's side looking for their first ever men's cross-country Division II national title. They came close last year. They got second, ran such a brave and such an admirable race. Didn't quite get it done there in Evansville, but this may be their day here in Pittsburgh. It looks like the advantage now at about 19 points for Grand Valley State over Colorado Mines. And maybe, folks, Panning starting to get full control of this one. Let's see if this move can be countered by Laguera. And it looks like he will cover it. He's having to push here to cover that move. Shaking his arms out as they go down this hill. What a battle this has been between Panning and Laguera. Going up against this mud. And the rain, which is held off, but still the course has felt all of that rain, and these athletes have felt it with each step, and that's why the times are slower than we're used to, but that doesn't matter. It's cross country, and right now Grand Valley State has a 20-point advantage. We're in the last mile. And barring some huge changes here, it looks like Grand Valley State could win their first national title here in Pittsburgh. So here we go. Panning looks like he's starting to put the hurt on Laguera. It is just an absolute slop fest out there. Who will survive the Schenley Park course? Panning's been in the lead for most of this race. Will he hang on here in Pittsburgh? We'll find out shortly as we've passed 31 minutes. And now Laguera. Laguera has moved past. Laguera. They're into the final stretch here. Laguera kicks past, and Marcelo Laguera, wow, what a change of events here. As Laguera now starting to kick as we're into the home stretch. And it doesn't look like Panning has a counter. Marcelo Laguera is going to win this national title. It looked like he was dropped, but he absolutely just went to another gear, dropped Panning, and Marcelo Laguera of Colorado School of Mines in a huge upset gets the victory here in Pittsburgh. Panning there in second. Wow. I did not see that coming. So Panning does get second. It's going to be Gedeon of Adams State in third. Laguera gets the win, 31-46. What an upset in Pittsburgh. That's what this course can do. Wow. Kimutai gets fourth for Missouri Southern. That's Taylor Stack for Western Colorado there in fifth. It's going to be Woda Michael of Grand Valley State in sixth for the second straight year. We'll try to keep it on this finish line. Looks like Phillips in seventh for Sioux Falls. And we'll have to see who that was in seventh there, or eighth. There's Kip Kosgei. There's a nice finish for Getabude. Let's see where the fourth, fifth runners are. There's Colligan. He's in about 15th. That's a good sign for Colorado School of Mines. There's Grand Valley's third, I believe. CSU has two there. There's Grand Valley's fourth. So Grand Valley just needs their fifth. Where is he going to finish? Wow, what an upset in the men's individual race, though, as Marcelo Laguera picks up the win. Chico State with three guys right there. So there at least is Grand Valley State's fifth. Things are looking good for the Lakers. We'll have to wait and see where the results put them officially. But we know who won the individual battle there. Marcelo Laguera in a big upset over Zach Panning. It looked like Panning kind of had him beat there in that final mile, and then all of a sudden a huge kick from Laguera. He'd been waiting in the wings the whole way, and he gets the W with Panning, Gedeon, Kimutai, and Taylor Stack rounding out your top five. For the top 10, we have Enel Wadamakal, Mason Phillips, Luke Greer, Wesley Karui, and Josh Hoskinson. So continuing to calculate these results as the athletes continue to pour in here. Marcelo Laguera, my goodness, what an upset for the senior from Colorado State University Pueblo. Individual results coming in, and we'll try to get you team scores as quick as we can as the rest of this field pours in. But we know that Grand Valley State had two in the top 10. All right, so they're going to continue to populate here. But at the moment, Grand Valley State is in the lead here across the finish line. Grand Valley State 65, Colorado Mines 73. Not official yet. We're going to wait for these to populate, folks. So we've got to kind of figure out these team scores. So not official yet. but things do look good for the Grand Valley men, as it looks like they had, let's see, 3 in the top 21, 4 in the top 30. So just a moment, but it does look good for Grand Valley State and Colorado Mines. Those two squads, the title's going to come down to them. We'll see how the results populate once everybody comes in. So still waiting on team results. So continuing to populate. Now it's saying that Grand Valley State 76 to Colorado Mines 86. Again, we are waiting for everything to unfold, all the results to pour in before we declare a winner here. But at the moment, Grand Valley State, led by Zach Panning, in second place. It's looking very, very good that the Lakers have won their first title. We're going to wait and see, because Colorado Mines, again, was right there. We know for a fact that Adams State has not won the title. So for the first time in 3 seasons, Adams State's not going to win. Looks like they were in 4th, not the day that they wanted. They kind of fell apart. And but it does look like it's between Grand Valley State and Colorado Mines. Right now we have 89 points for Grand Valley State, 99 for Colorado Mines. Again, continuing to update here. They're going to make sure that everything is accurate through 7, but I can run through who we had for Grand Valley State. They had Panning in 2nd, Wodemichael in 6th. Let's see here. Tanner Chata, the freshman, in 21st. They had Josh Steibel in 28th. And let's see here. And then Ben Zarimba in 45th. So continuing to wait here just a moment, and we should have a live interview in just a moment. We're waiting for the results to kind of come in to confirm that Grand Valley State has won the title, but that is what it looks like, folks. Grand Valley State, they've never won on the men's side, but that may change in 2018. What an upset. 2 huge upsets on the men's side. If Grand Valley State pulls off the win, and you combine that with Marcelo Laguera's victory, I mean, we had him in the top 5, but winning against the likes of Panning, Getabude, and other guys like Colligan, that was a huge upset. So as it stands right now, all 7 scores are in for the top 10 or top 7 or so teams. It does look like Grand Valley State has won the national title, 89 to 99 over Colorado Mines. Western Colorado, they're in 3rd with 117 points, with Adams State 4th, 175. My goodness, what an upset.